About a month ago, I decided to watch Bleach, partly because the 1000-year Blood War arc is coming out, and partly because I want to be able to say that I watched all the big three, which Bleach is a part of. It's Bleach, Naruto, One Piece, no Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball is 10 years before the big three. It's the generation prior, and it contributed to the big three. It inspired the big three, but it's not part of the big three. I put off watching Bleach for quite a while because, one, it was cancelled, which is an instant red flag, and two, I didn't really hear a lot of good things about it, except for pure fanboying. But you know, if Bleach fans are anything like Naruto fans, then that's just, you know, you can't trust that. However, Bleach always seemed like the type of anime that you can get hyped up about. Like during these key moments, fights, they seem exciting if you've seen the show. So, despite all the bad things I heard, I decided to watch it. And my plan was to just get through all the bad stuff because I was expecting there to be bad stuff. So, you know, just get through all of that and get to the good stuff, the fights, the moments, the hyped shit, you know? So I watched all of Bleach in about a month. The only thing I skipped was fillers. Just didn't care enough about Bleach to watch all of the fillers. However, I might revisit some of the arcs later. Going in, my expectations were pretty low. And that was still somehow disappointing. I don't understand how Bleach is on the same level to One Piece and Naruto. But before I get into Bleach itself, I just want to say that I will only be comparing it to One Piece and Naruto because it's what Bleach is usually compared to. Before we get any further into the video, I just want to take a second to say that I feel like it overall came out a bit more negative than I would have liked it to. So, as I say, I like Bleach. It's a fine anime. I mean, I watched like 200 episodes of it. You know, it just has a lot of flaws. It's a flawed anime, and I can't not mention those flaws when talking about the anime. But overall, I did enjoy it. I think that in shonen, much more so than in any other anime genre, it's very important to have a good MC. For shonen, a lot of the times the shows are built exclusively for the MC. The MC in shonen has to be at the very least likable, but at best it's someone you can root for, you can get behind, you can watch them grow throughout the story, and at the end of the day, you just want them to accomplish all their goals. You just, you know, you care about them. That's what shonen is kind of for. Like, it's not 100% necessary to have all these things to have a shonen, but it definitely does help. And Ichigo is definitely a character. I want to be able to completely explain his motivations and everything about his character, but there's just not that much. First of all, he doesn't have a motivation, goal, dream, anything of the sort. The reason he does anything in the show, and I mean anything, is to protect his friends, which on its own seems fine. However, he doesn't have anything else going on, and also the fact he only protects his friends means that he never acts on his own. Let me give you an example. Luffy wants to be Pirate King, so he makes his crew, he goes on an adventure, he sails the Grand Line. Everything in One Piece happens because of Luffy. Naruto, he wants to be Hokage, so he goes on his missions, he fights his enemies, not just to protect his village, but because it's necessary to achieve his goal. But Ichigo, he only ever reacts to things that are happening around him. He never does things on his own. Everything that Ichigo does is about saving someone. Like Rukia, Inoue, Karakura Town, always saving something or someone. He never really goes out of his way to fight for something he believes in, if that makes sense. And again, this isn't something that's bad on its own about a character, but because Ichigo doesn't have literally anything else in his personality except for protecting people, it's boring. It's boring to watch. It's not interesting. I can't get behind it. I can't root for him because there's nothing really to root for. At the very beginning of Bleach, Ichigo has this semi-moral dilemma where he doesn't really want to be a Soul Reaper and go out on missions and whatnot, but at the same time, he can't just let someone in front of him die. This could have been interesting as something of like this moral dilemma You don't really see it in shonen anime, especially not shonen anime of the early 2000s. So, you know, it could have been interesting. It could have set Ichigo apart from everybody else in shonen. But like everything in Bleach, and especially everything considering Ichigo, it was solved in 5 minutes. Literally just, it was completely forgot about. It was literally not even a full episode was spent on it. It was like half an episode, done, never mentioned again. And that's a recurring theme. Every time Ichigo gets like beat up and is like feeling down, oh man, I'm a such pathetic piece of shit, it's like 5 minutes, someone tells him like, get up, you're the main fucking character, you can't be down bad. And Ichigo is immediately like, okay, now I'm gonna fight someone. Like it's 5 minutes every time, like someone says like a sentence, and immediately Ichigo is just like good to go again. And it's not just with his motivation, for lack of a better word, it's also every time he's weaker than someone, he immediately gets stronger. But I'll talk about that a little bit later. Another key difference between Ichigo, Luffy, and Naruto is edge. Ichigo is definitely the edgiest of the three, and overall Bleach is edgier than Naruto and One Piece. But that's definitely not a bad thing by any means. I thought it was just worth mentioning. That was all I had to say about Ichigo, but what about other characters? Because there are quite a few, but sadly all of them boil down to having one personality trait that makes them quirky, and that's kind of it. There are some exceptions that I think have a bit more going on beneath the surface. Those would be Ulquiorra, Gin, Urahara, Shunsui, Kenpachi, Ikkaku. All of these seem to have motivations and thoughts that aren't completely just out in the open like with many other characters, except Kenpachi and Ikkaku, but they're just too cool to hate, you know? I'm not going to explain anything about these characters because if you've watched Bleach, you definitely know why I like these characters. And if you haven't watched Bleach, then I just end up retelling the entire plot and spoiling everything. Apart from these 6, I can't really think of any other character that I personally think has interesting motivations, thoughts, and yeah, just who are interesting. I could probably think of more if I thought about it really hard, but from the top of my mind, these 6 are there. That's not to mention that there aren't other characters I like. There definitely are, but for the other characters, it mainly is just because of their character design and not so much about their backstory. And that's a very important thing to mention because that's one of the biggest strengths of Bleach, is having cool fucking characters, because it is absolutely undeniable that Bleach has some of the most well-designed characters in all of anime. They are so insanely cool, both villains and heroes. Usually I wouldn't mention world building when talking about an anime unless it's either horrific or it's amazing. But Bleach is part of the big 3, and both Naruto and One Piece are kind of known for their amazing world building, especially One Piece. And sadly, yet again, Bleach does not live up to its peers. It's not bad, I've definitely seen worse, but there are some issues. The main one being Zanpakuto. How the fuck do they get them? It's never explained. It's actually ridiculous that one of the biggest, most important things to the entire world is never explained. I found online that it's when Soul Reapers condense their spiritual energy, then they get a Zanpakuto just out of nowhere. But I was never, and I'm 100% sure that this was never mentioned in the anime, unless it was mentioned in the fillers, which if it was, because I know there's a specific arc that deals with Zanpakuto, and if it was mentioned there, that is the biggest bullshit I have ever seen. Like, it's the most important thing for Soul Reapers, and it's never explained. Also, another important thing that wasn't explained, holofying. Why can Ichigo do it? I can understand why the Visor can do it, because the Hogekyu has some, basically, it does whatever the plot needs it to do. So I can understand why the Visor can transform, but it's never explained why Ichigo can do it. Again, online, I had to look it up, and I found that it was because Urahara put his soul in encroachment. Like, okay, I'm not quite sure if that's a valid answer. Honestly, I can't tell. I found a fan wiki and that's all there is there. I guess that's the answer. It's definitely never explained in the show. And right here, I'm gonna stop and just say that I don't know if these things were explained in the manga because I didn't read it, because I want to see everything animated for this particular series. But either way, it's stupid to just not have these things explained in the anime. It's kind of important. Another important thing is Kido. What the fuck is Kido? Like, I think it's meant to be the equivalent to Jutsu in Naruto, but I have no fucking clue what it is. So once again, I'm gonna turn to the fucking internet to find the answer. Kido refers to techniques used by Shinigami in which they concentrate their spiritual power into spells of various powers. Like, yeah, that's not that complicated, and I definitely figured it out on my own, but it's so confusing to just not have it explained at all. It's never even like, oh yeah, by the way, this is Kido. You don't even have to explain anything. It's just like, yeah, look what we can do. No. It's just used out of nowhere. And only like during the Soul Society arc, I think it's somewhere mentioned that Kido is one of the basics of Shinigami powers. Like, it's so inconsistent in use. Like, so many of the main characters just don't use it. Ichigo doesn't use it, which, okay, fine, he's a human, so he won't use it, whatever, he never learned it, whatever. I'm pretty sure we never see Toshiro use it. I don't think we ever see Komamura use it. I don't think we never see Yamamoto use it. Only like a few characters just actively use it. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. No, I don't think any of the characters actively use it. It's just that some characters sometimes use it. Which, come on, really? For one of the basic things of Soul Reaper powers, you're just not gonna use it? Really? Like, what's even the point of it being there? Which is a great segue, because why are there so many fucking things in Bleach? First, we had Soul Reaper's Hollows. Okay, they're the basics of the world, whatever. Quincy's, okay, the human equivalent. Then Inoue and Chad got powers, because of course they fucking do. Then Arankar, which were definitely needed. The Visored were added, and then the fucking Fullbringers, which somehow Chad and Inoue are. Because, that was definitely planned out and totally not, like, it's not even a lucky coincidence. It's just, like, makes no sense. Like, is it that difficult to make an interesting plot rather than having a million different factions and power systems? Come on, how many do we fucking need? And all this is, I'm pretty sure, only like about halfway-ish through the manga. Like, we have no idea what's gonna happen in the 1000-Year Blood War arc and after that. Well, you do if you've read the manga. I haven't, so I don't know, and I am pretty positive that they're gonna add some new fucking bullshit that Ichigo is somehow gonna be able to do. Another thing that's extremely inconsistent in Bleach is how strong people are. Ichigo fights Ikkaku and whoops his ass completely, but Ikkaku then defeats Arankar, who is supposed to be stronger than a captain, or at this one is at least at captain strength, which, alright, I can give you that one because Ikkaku was hiding his Bankai. But still, Ichigo also beats Kenpachi, who then beats Noitora, who Ichigo couldn't defeat with 2 power-ups. And it's not a valid excuse to say that Ichigo was tired when he fought Noitora, because Ichigo definitely barely defeated Grinja, so there's no chance he was gonna ever defeat Noitora. But Kenpachi whoops the floor with him, after Ichigo had 2 power-ups again. Also, Ichigo defeats Byakuya defeats an Espada who is meant to be stronger than a captain. What is even happening anymore? I'm pretty sure there are more examples of just inconsistency, but yeah, actually, Ishida and the Squad 12 captain, Ishida can't defeat number 8 Espada, but Kurotoshi Mayuri, he was able to defeat him, even though Ishida defeated him. Like, what? Again, there are definitely more examples of this, but I think this is more than enough to show that that Bleach is just extremely inconsistent with power scaling. And an important thing is, we've never seen any of these characters train except for the humans. Yeah, Inoue, Chad, Ichigo, and Ishida were the only ones we see actively train. I think maybe Renji, and that's it. So how are these people suddenly stronger when, like, we've never seen them train? It wasn't even mentioned that, oh, he spent all this time training so he could whoop your ass. No, nothing. And also, talking about training, Ichigo always like trains for like 5 minutes and is immediately stronger. Literally every time Ichigo needs to learn something, everyone tells him, oh yeah, this takes 10 million years to learn, and then Ichigo gets it in like 2 days. 2 days. I think 2 days is literally the longest it took Ichigo to master a skill, or at least learn it, not master it. And that was the Bankai. I think that was the longest it took him. That or the holification, I'm not sure. But still, it wasn't more than a couple of days when everyone else needs like so much time. Bankai takes 10 fucking years and Ichigo just gets it in like 2. Why? It's not even about how much spiritual power you have, it's about how well you know your Zanpakuto, and Ichigo doesn't know his for shit. Yeah, it's pretty obvious Ichigo has hella plot armor. And again, none of this makes the world building just terrible, but it could have definitely be done better, and very easily as well. All you just have to do is like come up just like a small explanation, like, oh yeah, this is how they get their Zanpakuto, and not have characters become stronger out of fucking nowhere. I find it difficult to say pretty much anything about the story of Bleach because there's not much to it. There's no overarching plot, and every arc has its own story, or to be more precise, it has their own character to protect. First it was saving Rukia, then Inoue, then all of Karakura Town, then during the Fullbringer Arc, Ichigo's classmates. It's basically around people who are to be saved. Like, each arc has the same kind of thing. A villain shows up, threatens some people, and then gets defeated. That's pretty much it. I literally can't think of anything more to say about the story. I seriously don't plan to talk much about any one specific arc, but the Fullbringer arc both has the absolute worst parts of Bleach and it has the best parts of Bleach. Obviously, spoilers for the entire arc. I will have to start with the negatives though, and that is the fucking twist. This is by far the worst twist I have seen in all of fiction, period. Not just anime, everything. I have never seen a twist be done this fucking badly. I don't remember where I heard this, but somewhere, I think it was some YouTube video, but basically the way twists are supposed to be done is upon rewatch, you're supposed to see it coming. Like, not just because you know what's happening, but because when you're looking for the little hints in the story, you're like, oh yeah, how the fuck did I notice this before? It shouldn't just pop up out of fucking nowhere. But this twist not only pops up out of nowhere, it literally feels inconsistent. We're shown about 10 times that Tsukishima cuts Ishida. But oh no, Ginjo just jumps up in front of him and cuts him, because that makes total sense. I'm gonna cut in here real quick because I completely messed up what I was trying to say. But to keep it short, switching on the villain this much makes the show lose integrity. Think of it this way. Let's say we have a show where the characters are being constantly killed off, want to be brought back a little bit later. Eventually, you're no longer worried about these characters because you know that they're gonna be brought back. And then once a character is actually killed and isn't coming back, you're not sad about it, you're confused because you're expecting them to come back. And it seemed here. When the final reveal happened, I wasn't surprised, I was just confused and kind of disappointed that this is what's gonna happen in the arc. Ichigo, holy shit, how fucking idiotic can a character act within a show? Like, he has no powers, nothing. It was all taken away. He meets people who suddenly have powers and he just blindly trusts them. He says he doesn't trust them, but he sure doesn't act that way at all. He goes to their hideout and is like, oh yes, I will be able to escape if they try something. Yeah, except he doesn't have any fucking powers. It's not like the time with the visor when he was just a cocky little shit who genuinely thought he could escape and probably even could have. Here there's just no shot. No, if they pull something, he's dead. Also, Ginjo tells him that he shouldn't trust Urahara because what does he actually know about him? So Ichigo goes to Urahara's shop and he's in front of his shop, sees his sister, and then it cuts to something else. Like, he never goes in to ask Urahara about anything, which is like, why are you suddenly doubting Urahara instead of the dude you just met 5 minutes ago who has some shady ass fucking powers? Like, it's like, what? How? And apart from being an idiot, he also acts extremely uncharacteristically. Like, when Tsukushima gets his family, Ichigo runs away. What? When has Ichigo ever run away? He never does it. It's like the worst thing about him that he never runs away. Even when he should, he doesn't. And then for this, he just runs away. Even though at this point, he has his powers back, at least somewhat. And he could definitely whoop Tsukushima's ass. And he just goes away, leaves his family with Tsukushima. It makes no sense to do this, especially knowing it's Ichigo. Like, what? Back to Ginjo though. What was his motivation exactly? Like, we're told that Soul Society betrayed him, and it's shown that he saves the other members of Execution. But like, there's nothing really about his backstory. Like, I have no idea what his deal is, like why he did anything, why he even wants Ichigo's powers. And also there's this really weird line at the end of the arc, I think it's the very last episode, where Soifon says that he has stolen powers from countless Soul Reapers. Like, how is he able to do that exactly? Like, there's never in the entirety of Bleach ever been mentioned that there's a power that's able to steal powers from other Soul Reapers. And I can understand why he took it from Ichigo, because, you know, Ichigo was using a Fullbring, and Fullbringers and Soul Reapers can exchange powers if Soul Reapers half human. But like, it's never explained how he's able to just take other people's powers. Like, is that his Zanpakuto's power? Which was also never explained. It was just like a big ass sword. And was also his Fullbring. It's very confusing. Also, and very minor detail here, why wasn't there a hole in Ichigo's chest when Ginjo stabbed him? There wasn't even like a wound, anything. There should be a huge gaping hole in his chest. Nothing, just like, whatever though. But yeah, Ginjo definitely feels like an evil character that is evil just because there needs to be an evil character. Like, yeah, there's that whole bullshit where Ichigo saves him, whatever, and that's always bullshit when they do that. But here it's specifically bullshit because what? He doesn't do shit, he just kills him. That is literally it. I would have said that Ginjo is the worst character in Bleach, but no, Keigo, he's too annoying. Okay, that was a lot of negative things about this arc, and yeah, there were a lot. But there's one thing that makes everything I've mentioned before completely negligible and makes it worth watching this entire dog shit ass arc. And that's the very end where Ichigo gets his powers back. That's actually great. Usually this would be a bad thing because when characters get their power like this, it's just kind of cheap, you know. It depreciates the character's struggles, especially with Ichigo here, because Ichigo willingly sacrificed his powers, and now it feels like he didn't really sacrifice anything. But you know what? Fuck it. It is way too cool. It's so fucking awesome to see Ichigo fight again. Just like, oh, I was hyped up the entire time. Like I said before, I thought this show was meant to hype you up, and it does. Seeing Ichigo wipe the floor with Ginjo is just way too fucking cool. Like, I don't care at this point about anything, about character motivations, about writing, about anything. Ichigo is whooping someone's ass, and that is all that fucking matters, and it's so cool, especially here where he's just like completely destroying him. It's not even a fight at this point. Ichigo it's completely one-sided. I love it. Okay, I can get through this. I just need to speak my mind, be clear about it, calm. Okay, deep breaths. Fuck! I really hate Aizen. I have no fucking idea how anyone can say that he's a good fucking character. He sucks, okay? He just does. He was so hyped up. Everyone literally, I mean, outside of the show, everyone told me, oh, he's so great. He's the best fucking character ever. He's a fucking idiot, all right? All of his plans can be accomplished 2 times faster by anyone who has 2 fucking brain cells. I don't understand how people can generally sit here and say that, oh yeah, this is a very smart character. It makes no sense. He is an idiot. He takes control of the entirety of Soul City, like literally everything, and he then sets up Rukia's execution to get the Hoyoku out of her. Okay, so far that makes sense. Seems like an okay plan. However, the problem pops up where we find out that he has a completely different technique to get the Hoyoku out of her, which seems like 100 times better, because it's not only easier to do, but it's also safer, because Yamamoto was at the execution site, which Aizen couldn't have not known that Yamamoto is gonna be there. Everyone fucking knows that he's gonna be there. And he himself said when he was fused with the Hoyoku, he could not defeat Yamamoto. So why is he risking it at all? If you have this other technique, just walk in to Rukia's room, cell, whatever, and just take the Hoyoku. Like, it makes no sense. Why would you want to risk, like, yeah, he's super strong, but why would he still want to risk it in front of the head captain, 9 other captains, and 13 lieutenants? It makes no sense to go through all of that to get the Hogyoku. Also, if he just went to Rukia's cell and get the Hogyoku like that, first of all, even if they said like, oh no, you can't enter here, he could have just killed anyone and just broken in, get the Hogyoku, get out, done. And if he did that, Ichigo would not have been on Soul Ceti's side, and basically he would have won then, because Ichigo is the reason he loses. And yeah, he like wanted to make Ichigo stronger, which like great plan, that definitely worked out. Now you're fucking dead. No, he's in prison, but still. And in general, I hate it when there's like a specific character that's responsible for everything that happens in the show. Like the story's going on, and then out of nowhere someone's like, yeah, it was all me. Yeah, it was me all along. It's like my biggest problem with Naruto, that the fucking Black Zetsu guy is responsible for all of shinobi history. It's bullshit, it's stupid, and in Bleach it doesn't even make sense, because why would Aizen do this? Like, there's some talk about him being lonely because he doesn't have a rival, but what is he talking about? Yamamoto is right there and he's literally stronger than him. If you really need to fight someone, go fight him. Why would you want to train up this dude? Like, what was the reasoning behind this? You have someone to fight. Why go through all the trouble? And you know what? Even with all of that, Aizen still wouldn't be that bad if everyone didn't try to shove down my throat how fucking smart he is. Literally every time Aizen does anything, someone has to say that he's a fucking mastermind genius, and we're all fucking amoebas compared to him. It is so annoying. This is what happens when an author tries to write a character that is clearly smarter than them. They don't know how to show the audience that this character is smart, so they have to tell them forcefully. Show, don't fucking tell. Like, come on. Aizen is never shown anything that would make the audience go, ooh, damn, he's smart. No, like, the closest thing to like a smart thing he does is him making the Hogyoku before Urahara, and still that doesn't make me go, oh yeah, he's smart, because that's a fictional object. I have no idea how smart you have to be to make it. And also the Hogyoku is completely pointless, because the only reason the Aizen's Hogyoku was even introduced is because it made no sense that there were a Espada before he took the Hogyoku from Rukia. So it's just like a big ass fucking loophole that I need to patch somehow. And having 2 Hogyokus completely fucks up everything that happened in the Soul City arc, because there's no point in getting Urahara's Hogyoku if you already have one. Literally, they say that all that he did with Urahara's Hogyoku is feed it to his Hogyoku, which literally just made it wake up faster. So basically, everything that happens in Bleach happens because Aizen is an impatient fuck. And his rumored intellect, because I'm not buying that he's smart, not at all, it completely fucks up his character as well because he's insanely strong. There is no point in having a character be insanely smart and insanely strong, because why go through all the trouble of scheming and plotting and making these intricate traps and plans if you can just whoop everyone's ass in like 5 minutes, which he ends up doing anyway. So what's the point of going through all that trouble to come up with plans and whatnot when he literally just wipes everyone's ass? So yeah, I don't understand how people can compare Bleach to One Piece and Naruto. It's not even close. Like, it's not bad, but it's clearly inferior. The characters are one-dimensional, a lot of things go unexplained, and there's not really any story to it. But it is cool. If anything, Bleach does a lot of bad things, but it really knows how to be cool. And at the end of the day, that's good enough for me. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just here to watch Ichigo kick ass, and if we think about it like that, it does accomplish that goal. And hey, if anything, it didn't get me all hyped up at the beginning, only to completely shit on all of my expectations near the end, like Naruto. Also, I'm glad that more of the manga is getting animated. I wasn't even close to dropping Bleach, and I am definitely excited to see what happens in the 1000-Year Blood War. And I've seen many disagree about this, but I think that Bleach also had like very consistent quality throughout. At the end of the day, I wouldn't not recommend it, but I think that before you get into it, you need to know that what you're getting into isn't of the same quality as One Piece and Naruto. Alright, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and check out all my other platforms. Bye!